I beat the Starlight River mod in Terraria. That is correct. The most awaited mod of Terraria is finally out, and I am here to take it head on, start to finish. I started off by looking at the beautiful loading screen of the Tmodloader Starlight River mod, and then I created myself a character as well as a quick world. As soon as I spawned into that world, I noticed that there were these weird trees that drop far more wood than normal. So I went to chop them down, and I crafted a workbench and placed that down as well. I went on my way into a cave and I started mining. At the top right of the screen, you could actually see like one of these new little structures that I have no idea what they do. And as I came up to them, they had this little like tornado button, so I couldn't do much with it. I couldn't click it, I couldn't do anything, so I just continued mining and gathering resources so we could progress further into the game. And along with this playthrough video, I'll essentially make a little guide as I play throughout the game, just in case you want to figure out how to summon some of the bosses, how to get certain power-ups, and all of that fun stuff, because I was genuinely confused, and since this mod is so new, there's no guides on it as of yet. So I came back to the surface, built a couple of houses, just basically organized all of my chests, made everything look pretty. I crafted a furnace, crafted a prep station, which is a part of the Starlight River mod. At this point, I actually had enough copper and I think it was silver to craft the blade saw, which is essentially a weapon that is like, it's literally a chainsaw, but you could also use it to chop down trees, and it becomes like overloaded if you hit an enemy 3 times and it deals crazy amounts of damage. Frankly, the weapons for like how early you are in the game were very powerful, so just keep that in mind. You like, the bosses will be pretty easy to defeat with the weapons and like all the cool accessories that you can get in this mod. Anyways, I then checked out like all the various different things you can craft, and there's no armor for the melee class, which was kind of sad, but I still basically played melee till near the end of the game to where it just became underpowered. I continued building more homes so I can try to get more NPCs to spawn, and then I went mining even more. Picked up a couple of emeralds, and once I came back to the surface, I decided to go and traverse the above world of Terraria. I found myself a finch staff in a living wood tree, and then I stumbled upon a cave. I looted a chest, mined up a couple more ores, found another one of those structures with those like orange fire things, and then I came back to the surface. I then went over to the right side of the world and entered a jungle. I wanted to find some life crystals because we were fairly low on HP, and without the heart crystals, we're not going to make any significant progress whatsoever, as we're just going to keep on dying over and over again. I also picked up another accessory that actually let me mine faster, which I just found recently within the jungle chest. It looks like a tiny little hammer within my accessory slot, which was quite nice. And upon coming back to spawn, I decided to check out what else I can craft. I realized that we can craft some lasers using all the various different gems throughout Terraria. And now one thing I wanted to get is this like combination of the fledgling wings and the Hermes boots. You can craft like these OP Hermes boots. That's a part of the Starlight River mod, but first, you know, we had to get the fledgling wings, which they can like sometimes spawn and sometimes not. So I decided to build my way all the way to space and then just like make a massive platform, which didn't work out too well because I kept on getting overpowered by harpies and I just kept on dying non-stop. So I decided to go back to the caves. I actually found some life crystals this time. I mined up even more ores. I got myself tons and tons of emeralds, which led me to craft a emerald hook as soon as I came all the way back to spawn. And then upon going to the ice biome, I found this very weird structure with this like monolith pillar at the top. As soon as I clicked it, a suspicious looking orb came out of it, and it led me to go all the way down into the ice biome. It led me to a very similar monolith, so I clicked on that, and it led me further lower and lower and lower until I found these strange looking rainbow spheres of water. I'm not sure what it is, but essentially we could swim in it. And as I clicked on the last monolith, it actually led me to this massive structure, which I had no clue what to do with. So I bombed my way over to the entrance of that structure. I went inside, and it instructed me on how to place blocks within these blue squares that comes handy later. And once I came into the area, I went on a platform, and you know, being old little greedy me, I jumped off the platform and I fell all the way to the bottom of this area. Now what you will come to find is this is a boss arena that you cannot leave. So what other choice did I have besides spawning in the boss? Well, I had no choice whatsoever. I dug through my inventory and found that I actually had a certain spawn item for the boss that was within this biome. All I had to do was chuck this painting into the water, and Auroracle, the massive ginormous, yes, that is a word, ginormous squid spawned in and it absolutely destroyed me. And I mean, I took a fat L. This was horrific. I couldn't deal any damage to it. It had like 100 HP. It was bad. I died. I learned my lesson, did not come back there for a very long time. Using some of the orbs that I actually destroyed within the ice biome, I crafted myself the frost ball, which was a yo-yo crafted out of, well, the orbs that I destroyed. I then went over to the left side of the world, located Skeletron's dungeon, and picked up a book. This book will come in handy to craft this brand new accessory accessory that actually makes melee hits explode into this like ice abomination, which just damages everything within its path. It's very good, especially mixed with the yo-yo. So I crafted that, and once that was crafted, I used a gravitation potion that I actually found a couple of chests to clear some of the sky islands. And after literally going through all of the sky islands, I realized that we have no fledgling wings, meaning we cannot craft the Hermes vow, which is that combination of the Hermes wings that of the Hermes boots and the wings that I wanted to craft. But hey, like, we can always use a frog leg, but you know, that's kind of a pain. I'm probably not going to go through that, and you know, just better accessories I can craft. I then browsed all of the weapons to see that, well, we can't craft anything worthwhile, and then I went back to the jungle to search for chests, where I actually found a bunch of life crystals, dug up some obsidian, found myself a mushroom biome, and then I came back to spawn. I went back into the caverns to mine for more ores. I found myself one of these chests that actually gave us a rune of warding, and it let us pick 2 different materials or items from the chest. This was kind of a weird feature. I don't know why they did this. It's like it's a very interesting chest mechanic though. So anyways, I picked up a dynamite and some jester's arrows. Then I continued to farm out random mobs in the jungle, trying to find life crystals and chests, and I actually found a mimic in pre-hard mode, which was very interesting. I ended up killing it and it dropped nothing, so I don't know what the point of that was. Anyways, upon devouring the entire jungle, I found quite a lot of life crystals, and I also managed to get myself the summon for the Eye of Cthulhu, which as soon as I came back to spawn, I summoned it in as it was nighttime. Using our frostball yo-yo and our ice explosions, we took out the Eye of Cthulhu quite easily. It honestly wasn't too much of a challenge. As I'm saying, like, even the very least powerful weapons within this mod are very, very overpowered, and I don't know why it's like that. But hey, am I gonna complain? Playthrough's just gonna take me faster. I can drop videos quicker. Like, bro, I ain't complaining, man. Anyways, soon after this, I realized that we should probably go and fight the Brain of Cthulhu. But before that, I wanted to gear up even more. So what I went to go do is finish up a bunch of houses just so all the NPCs can move in. Then I crafted myself a full set of silver armor, got myself bombs, and then proceeded to go down into the Crimson Underground. I managed to find another one of those interesting looking chests where you can only pick 2 items. So I took that. I built a tiny arena. I looted another chest where you can pick up 2 items, and I got an underpowered pickaxe. Then I chucked some bombs at all the orbs, blew up the last one, summoned the Brain of Cthulhu, and while killing all of the little brain minions, I got this like weird aura wash over me, and in the bottom left it said that a strange traveler has arrived. And before I knew it, there were words on my screen that said, "Wanderer, I await you at the place you entered this strange world," meaning there is going to be an NPC waiting for us all the way at spawn. I really don't know what triggers this NPC to spawn, but this comes quite handy for the progression of the Starlight River mod, and this can be like the start of our little unofficial guide. So anyways, I killed the Brain of Cthulhu, and the aura didn't go away whatsoever. As I came back to spawn, I found a random NPC just chilling, appearing from a bright star right on top of me. It was this crow-looking creature, but let's get on to the dialogue. The crow-like creature gets up off the ground with a triumphant look in its beadly eyes, dusting itself off and then straightening its ruffled feathers. I press continue. There you are. I've jumped through 17 different axons and the entire Capricorn tropic trying to find you. Yes, my name is Alican. I don't really know how to pronounce that. And I believe we can help each other. You see, I am a seeker of what exactly is not free information, but I'll give you a hint. Alican leans towards you with its voice reduced to a whisper and a manic glint in its eye. Mana's not the only thing out there. It's an engine of change. It can blow things up, it can reverse entropy, but it's not all there is. I'm studying Starlight, the inverse of mana, the energy of meaning, of memory, of connection. If you let me observe your efforts, I'll teach you how to use it. This is Starsight, the ability to glimpse the weave of fate and meaning, grasping onto but a thin thread. If you encounter something beyond your own understanding, use it to borrow the knowledge you need. I have a feeling that you'll be generating a lot of useful data for me. I've got business in the equatorial ring, but before I go, one last word of advice. Something lurks beneath the nearby desert. The threads of memory converge in a great tangle. If you wish to understand Starlight, you must confront and decipher whatever's waiting for you there. I'll be watching. Bye? ? And so he disappeared. Anyways, at the top right, we got this little light blue diamond, which signifies how much starlight we have. And at the left, right under my inventory, we have a brand new ability where I click a certain button. It will give me data on what I'm looking at, and this will come useful to explain how to beat certain bosses within this game, how to get certain items, and so on. It's kind of like the guide of the Starlight River mod, but it's like ethereal and cool and all of that. Anyways, I crafted myself the Deathbringer pickaxe, and as As soon as I did that, a meteor landed and it shook up my entire screen. Soon after, I went to go mine for some hellstone. I got myself as much hellstone as I could. Breaking one of the pots, I actually managed to get myself an obsidian skin potion. I got myself a hell forge, and as soon as I came back to the surface, I got invaded by goblins, meaning that I had to go take them out, and that was kind of a hassle as, well, my weapons are quite underpowered, but hey, using the frost explosion, we dealt some serious damage and took out the goblin army. I went over to the right side of the world where I remember the desert was, and essentially I dug all the way down, and what I found soon, I was very shocked by, to say the least. As I kept digging further and further, I fell into a massive crater which had a abysmal structure in the middle and just crystals that I couldn't mine all over the place. There was a brand new amazing looking background, a bunch of other blocks that I couldn't mine, and as I went further down, there were these brand new mobs that were like shooting fire and just destroyed me. But upon coming further down, I found a brand new creature, and as I used my starsight ability, the starsight itself actually inquired about this creature, and it said, is this creature really what lurks beneath the desert? Apparently it was, as I came up to it and started speaking with it. Cue another dialogue scene. Ah, you finally found me. Come to browse my wares. My commissions are full, but for the right price, I'm sure we can work something out. Or, that look you're giving me, are you perhaps a fan? I respond with, what? No. What do you mean? You just wandered in here? Nobody comes to see the legendary Weaver of Glass without a reason. You know what the legendary Weaver of Glass sounds like? That sounds like Heisenberg, especially outside of my forge. It must have been fate. ... I'm an artist and crystal is my medium, but to properly work it, I need some very powerful equipment, and well, how would I say this? I did maybe forget to maintain the tools in my chosen forge for a bit, only a few centuries. Don't give me that look. You might not be able to tell with your lack of experience and all, but I give it only a few more years before the magma channels erode and the forge heart collapses. So, I've been diligently scouting out a nearby forge temple. This thing is, it's almost in even more despair. If you, handsome, wise, kind explorer, are brave enough to venture in and fix up the forge, I'll let you keep whatever you find inside. Here, I'll show you where it is. Show me the temple. No, wait, you can't just barge in. You need a key. I need to know if I am giving my faith and crystal to the right person. So when you think you're strong enough, challenge me properly and I'll put you through my Glassweaver gauntlet to really test your mettle. Don't keep me waiting. You know where to find me. See you around. Anyways, as soon as I pressed that, this dude just barged into the wall and I had no clue where to go. So I just scavenged around this entire area until I came all the way back to him and I realized that he was hiding inside this building that I couldn't really see unless I went to the side, which is kind of weird. But then I went inside the building and started talking to him once more. Essentially, I came up to him, told him I was ready to fight, and he initiated like a Hollow Knight mini boss fight sequence. This is where this game heavily reminded me of Hollow Knight. I've played that game a couple of years ago. I wasn't really too good at it, but hey, this just gave me like strong flashbacks, and if anybody knows, just drop them in the comments below whether this was inspired off of Hollow Knight. I know that there is like a Hollow Knight type summoner weapon within this mod, but like there's crazy resemblance to that game within here, especially the next boss to come. But yeah, this was essentially the mini boss, and the way that you fight this is by going down into the desert. I'm not sure if you can do this before being approached by like that aura that we had while fighting the Brain of Cthulhu, but this is the very first boss you can fight. Well, you can fight the squid boss at any time, but this is probably the progression that you'd want to do it in. Anyways, this guy just kept on throwing waves of enemies at us up until we defeated all of the enemies, and once we did that, he actually became free and started beating us up. He had various different attacks, like shooting crystals, shooting these like spikes. He was hitting us with this sword, and I actually thought we were going to die, but we kind of pushed through it, and we absolutely demolished the Glass Weaver. As soon as I took him out, I went to talk to him, and cue another talking sequence. You might want to listen to this because this is what brings us to the next boss of the playthrough. Congratulations, you destroyed many decades of my finest work. I really should have thought this through more. I was going to have those help you clear out the forge, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. Let me fill you in on what to expect. It pulls out what looks to be a map, but with completely illegible scribbles in place of anything useful. You're not sure how one capable of creating such intricate crystal work is so inept at moving a pen on paper, but you've seen more bizarre things. My great map of the Grand Forge Temple. Just another legendary artwork that I'm allowing you to briefly look at, free of charge. You can see two main rooms, one of the forge here and here. Both are most likely broken in some way. If you want access to the vault at the bottom, you'll have to get the power system and hammer system in working order. If you enter the vault, there's a pretty high likelihood of the sentinel taking notice. It will not be happy. But most adventurers have no such compunctions about theft from holy forged temples and the murder of religious guardians. So you'll probably be able to take it out just fine. Wait, what? Why are you looking at me like that? Did I not tell you about the Sentinel before? It is not capable of melting the entire temple if you do not escape fast enough. Just talk to me when you defeat that slightly oversized snake so I can finally move in. Well, I need a key. So he dropped me a key and I went straight into the temple, and this crystal started summoning in a bunch of enemies. I didn't really know what it did or how to get through it, so I was just like wandering left to right nonstop up until one of the enemies dropped me a key, and then I opened the door and went straight through that door, leading me to a little gear contraption. I ended up doing this puzzle where I had to basically mix and match all the different sizes of gears up until the next door opened, and here I was trying to figure out how to get these little light rays to move. After a bit of just moving my cursor everywhere non-stop over and over again, I actually figured out how you can move these mirrors, and then I led the light source to all of the other mirrors. They all connected. I led it over to the other side, and upon letting one of the light sources hit this like huge glass beam at the top, it ended up making the forge actually start moving again, which then opened up the very final door at the bottom of the temple where I could access a brand new power-up. This was the Forbidden Winds skill. I could essentially dash at walls, crystals, and break straight through them. It had to be a certain material, but this will come very useful in a boss fight to come, and it also gives us access to this crystalline material, which we can craft a plethora of new items from. Anyways, as I was making my way out, I broke a bunch of crystals, then came back to the guy, and he essentially said, "Congratulations, you destroyed many decades of my finest work, blah blah blah." We skipped through all of that as I thought I had discovered everything I needed to, only to have him say, "Adventure, you defeated the Sentinel so soon. It's a miracle." Oh, you didn't. Never mind. Go away. And so he sent me astray, which made me very, very mad. So I came all the way back home and tried to figure out what I can craft with all the brand new crystals that I had. What I could craft was the summon for the Sentinel, which I didn't know how to use, so that was kind of useless for now. Anyways, I looked over all the various different weapons I can craft because, well, I don't really want to fight this boss with the yo-yo, and I think I have a hunch of what this boss may be, you know, before it was even out. So I crafted a bunch of various different shenanigans, and I made my way back to the same area that I was before. And upon stepping on top of the temple, a huge platform rose out of nowhere, preparing me for a boss fight which I was not ready for. I'm very glad nothing actually spawned in, but I had the inclination that it would, so I tried to run away, but I couldn't, and I'm glad nothing spawned in. Anyways, I came back to the guy. He just kept on telling me that, well, I need to go fight the boss, so I put in the gauntlet, spawned in Cyros, I'm not sure, but this is the one boss that everybody knows Starlight River for. There you go. This little snake, the Shattered Sentinel. Yeah, I was fighting him with a yo-yo, and this was going to be quite tough, and it's going to be a long boss fight. He started off his boss fight by making a ring of fire that I had to escape from and shooting a bunch of flamethrower attacks at me from his mouth like a dragon. Soon after, he started bringing down all of his little totems while at the same time firing spikes at me and bringing spikes towards the ground. Essentially, I kept on spamming him with the yo-yo non-stop up until we got to a phase where everything went dark and I had to dash into one of these orbs. The very first time I wasn't sure what to do, so I didn't go through it, but you know, I'll smarten up later within this boss fight. I kept on dodging all of his attacks up until we got down to the second phase where he was lower than half HP, and this is where all the platforms started moving. He started shooting these like fiery projectiles that would come out like 6 at once, and then randomly he would like put a little crystal up that would explode and I'd have to dash into it. You have to look at this boss fight for yourself. It's very hard to explain everything that's going on, but getting him to a quarter of HP, he ended up shooting this massive fireball that I dodged, kind of like the Moonlord laser. I kept on dodging his attacks and I managed to take him out using my Frostball yo-yo, which was super clutch, and I did not think I'd be able to do that. But as soon as we took him out, we actually got a brand new summoner weapon and these like vials that we can craft a bunch of various different armor sets from that are basically for the end of the game. I then came back to the guy, told him I defeated the boss, and this is what he had to say. "Wow, I wasn't sure you could handle that. I mean, I totally believed in you the whole time. Totally didn't have money on the Sentinel. Anyways, I'll be moving in soon." And that's basically all he had to say. I came all the way back to spawn and I crafted myself the Needler, which was a ranged weapon that essentially would spam like a bunch of shots very quickly. It didn't deal a lot of damage, but if you shot a single enemy a bunch of times, it would end up exploding afterwards, so it dealt quite a lot of damage even though it only did 8 damage on paper. I mined up a meteor while going to the left side of the world and then went to go fight Skeletron with the Needler right before it turned to daytime. I managed to pull through and demolish Skeletron going into the dungeon. Within the dungeon, I tried to look for a cobalt shield as that will come in handy to craft a certain accessory within the Starlight River mod, but for the life of me I couldn't get get a single key, so I ended up dying. But before that, I did manage to get one of these like OP swords that would swing around the player and also help me fly for some reason. Yeah, you can like use this in a very cheesy way, but you can't use it forever, so you know, it's not too overpowered. But yeah, as I said earlier, I died and then I came back to spawn. Swinging around with the sword, I went back to the desert biome to go fight the sentinel one more time. Or I thought I would fight it one more time, but then I realized that I needed far more of those fuses to get a full set of his armor. So I kept on fighting this guy non-stop. I think I basically beat him like 3-4 times or something along those lines, and then I crafted a full set of his armor. I got a bunch of various different drops like his bow, which was pretty neat. And then I went into the ice biome to go and fight that squid boss. I actually thought this boss was post the sentinel, but apparently it's like the first boss that you can fight. He's like the easiest out of all of them. So I went on to fight him though. Essentially, I went to use the star sight on his tentacles, and it said that we need to take out the tentacles first before fighting the boss. So I started spamming his tentacles. You can check out all the attacks on screen. I'm not going to really explain them. You can fight this boss whenever you want within the playthrough. I think it should be fought like post Brain of Cthulhu or post Eye of Cthulhu. I'm not really sure, but you don't really do anything special to access this one. The attacks aren't too difficult. It gets pretty hard later within the boss fight. Once you get him down to maybe half HP, it like the whole lake starts filling up beneath you and the water keeps on rising until you take him out. But yeah, we just basically kept on spamming with the needler and we took him out. He wasn't too difficult as he was far less powerful than the boss that we just recently took out, which I hadn't known. Also managed to get one of these summoner weapons that dropped from the sentinel, which was this like crystal that just beamed lasers. It was kind of like an inferno tower from Clash of Clans. I don't know if any of you guys played Clash of Clans. Drop it down in the comments below, because that was like a very big part of my childhood. Anyways, we're not talking about cock today. We're talking about Terraria. After we defeated the Kraken, as that's not what it's called, but I came down to the underworld. I started building myself an arena for the wall of flesh, and then I came back to spawn because I realized I had no more blocks for an arena, and I continued building the arena for the wall of flesh using a bunch of stone. During this time, we found a guide voodoo demon that spawned in, so I got a guide voodoo doll from that, and I chucked it into the lava as soon as I was done and started spamming the wall of flesh with the needler. This was quite a clutch boss fight at first, up until we got to like half of his HP, because I thought I wasn't going to do any damage, but apparently we were. It was just like the hungry were just taking up all of the damage and I couldn't hit the wall of flesh at all. It was quite annoying, but once you got past those, it was very easy to take out. We took out the wall of flesh, and then we got a prompt on our screen sadly saying, "Thank you for playing. You've reached the current end of Starlight River. Hard mode content is planned and under development. Follow us on social media for spoilers and future updates." This is not the last playthrough I'm going to do. I just want to get this out there just to show people the extent of how amazing this mod is. You should definitely go check it out for yourself. Try to explore more. I know there's one more ability that I haven't unlocked and I just couldn't find it for the life of me, but I don't want to cheat, go on Heroes mod and like unlock the entire map. As soon as the hard mode development is finished, I'll 100% sure replay this again. But anyways, consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Drop a like in the video if you enjoyed it. This has been Boyo. Peace out.